Amy Winehouse's debut album is titled Frank. Right. And she has a song called Take the Box, which is my personal favorite song of hers. And she has a lyric where she says, Frank's in there and I don't care. Oh. Hellraiser is a 1987 British supernatural body horror film written and directed by author Clive Barker in his directorial debut, based on his novella that came out only 1 year prior called The Hellbound Heart, which has quite some changes, folks. But primarily the story revolves around this mystical puzzle box that summons these multi-dimensional sadomasochistic beings called Cenobites, who can't differentiate between pain and pleasure. The film stars Andrew Robinson, Claire Higgins, Ashley Lawrence, and Doug Bradley as the famous Pinhead. On a tight budget of $1 million, the film grossed $30 million at the box office. Clive had a smash hit on his hands. This is, wow, a beloved gem in the horror genre. I think when you bring up the body horror subgenre, period, this would be most people's first pick. I probably shouldn't even be playing with this joint right now, but you know what? We live life. If you're feeling froggy, go ahead and grab some leather, some chains, wear some. I like y'all to dress up when you watch my videos, okay? Whatever kinky stuff you into, as you see, I'm quite vanilla today, but that's only because I'm the final boy here, and I don't want my luscious little teeny curls to get caught up in these chains.
Right.
Or so let's get into Hellraiser.
It's never enough.
The film opens with our title card and this gorgeous score created by Christopher Young. I always forget how gorgeous these strings are. Just listen to the soundtrack, please. Just thank me later. First visual we see is this mystical foreign box that looks like it conjures up spirits. There's a short interaction with said owner of this box, and the man sitting across him slams down 2 short stacks, buying it off of him. This is Frank. You already know some shit is about to go down because this fool sitting on the floor in a square of candles. Yo, you do not need to be an expert on magic to know that something is about to be conjured. And he think them candles gonna save him. Frank toys with this box, solving it by pressing the circle, doing a bop it, twist it, pull it. Then light comes blasting through the windows shortly before electricity jolts as these wires come flying out the box and hook into his skin. Frankie Grande screams at the top of his lungs and we get our first establishing shot of this country house. I was honestly gonna call Frank hot as hell, but the way that he's the way he's keeping this house dirty, bitch. I know it smells crazy in there, just dirty and neglectful. Pictures of him and topless women on a treasure chest, undies everywhere, alcohol bottles, food thrown all up in the kitchen. What is going on? Although Sean Chapman doesn't sound or necessarily match him, there is something about him that gives me Billy Zane vibes. Specifically, if you look at a character Billy played in a film called Dead Calm with Nicole Kidman, I don't know, there's this seduction and this charm. So there are 3 levels to this house. You walk in on the first, then there's the second floor, then there's the third floor, and on the third floor is the attic, and that's where Frank is, trying to conjure stuff. But when we cut back to that attic, we find ourselves elsewhere. Disclaimer, I'm gonna have to do a lot of the descriptions on camera for the YouTube cut, but as far as my Patreon, which I typically plug at the end, more on that later, those homies will get all of the nasty and explicit graphics because I already know I am going to have to fight for my life editing this for YouTube. And I'm talking about as far as to not get demonetized is what I'm saying. So I'm just, I'm just trying to make it easier for me as an editor, Mr. Post Parker. But yeah, there are these chains everywhere all around the room, and there's like these spinning columns and there's pieces of flesh on, what is going on? Lurking in the shadows, we get little glimpses of these species called Cenobites. There are chunks of Frank's flesh, like pieces of his face laying on the floor. So you're kind of like, at this point, you just like, what did they do to this man, Our lead Cenobite with these swole muscle arms, damn, is circling his finger around the center of this magic box, where it rises and turns back into place how it originally was, which closes the illusion and the attic zaps back to normal. No Frank, no candles, no chains. parents. We aren't necessarily sure how much time passes, but when we cut, we hear this older couple struggling trying to get in the house. One of them is trying to turn the key. Enter Larry and Julia. By the way, Larry and Frank are brothers, and this house, which is 95% of the movie takes place in this house, this belonged to their parents. Big Dog Larry hasn't been in this house in 10 years, and matter of fact, has been trying to sell it after Mummy died, but Frank wouldn't let it happen. We haven't met our final girl, but she's played by an actress named Ashley Lawrence, and she said in an interview that this house was up for sale because apparently somebody committed suicide in the garage via carbon monoxide poisoning. Julia is not the biggest fan of this place. Let's get that out the way. To her, it's damp, it's run down. Larry's got a new job that's perfect, and Julia's got her own turf going, so he's telling mommy we can make this work. She lights up a cigarette, dragging it maybe once or twice, and then drops it on the ground, stepping on it. I would have cussed her trifling ass out. Why would you do that? It just goes to show you how much respect she has for the place. We also see her disdain at all the frowny faces she makes towards the multiple religious and Jesus statues that are planted around the house. In the kitchen, Larry witnesses all the rotten food that have maggots and jumbo cockroaches. Jesus Christ. Julia begins screaming for her man right when she finds the room that had Frank's luxury mattress and Abercrombie & Finch clothes. Again, I know it smells crazy in there. Larry does not know, nor does he really care where his brother is, saying, oh, he's probably on one of his famous getaways or locked up somewhere. The telly goes ping ping, and we meet Larry's daughter, Kirsty, who is giving me Mariah Carey vision of love realness with these curls. I had a vision of love, and it was all that you've given to. Come on. Kirsty's telling Pop she found a room to stay in because f your raggedy ass house. That's when Julia finds these inappropriate pics of Frank with a black woman. Okay, Frank, getting down with the chocolate. Look at Julia saving one of the pics inside her pocket. That's suspicious. That's weird. And when she comes downstairs to face Larry, he says,
so?
Why not?
Great.
They move in Sunday morning and Kirsty comes by. These ugly ass movers try to flirt with her as she pushes past them like, please get out my girl's face. So Kirsty is very close with Larry. You know, she's a daddy's girl and couldn't care less about this redheaded trick, you know, the evil stepmother. The biological mother is in heaven. Is it just me who finds it weird she kisses her father on the lips? A little too grown for that. Julia stares at that pic of Frank and his girlfriend and then rips my sister out of it. Meanwhile, Kirsty's cussing up a storm in the kitchen because a faucet starts shooting a load at her. Now, I know you're probably thinking, enough edging already. Why is this Julia, this evil redheaded stepmother? Why is this chick so obsessed with her brother-in-law? Well, we learned through flashbacks that Frank showed up to Julia's house one rainy evening, drenched and soaking wet, announcing himself as Larry's brother, visiting for their wedding. Kirsty breaks Juju's daydream by asking if they got towels in this joint, which is also the last thing Frank asks Julia in her flashback because remember, he's soaking wet from the rainstorm. The disrespect is almost laughable because after Julia tells her the towels are in the bathroom, Kirsty's drying herself off, casually making conversation, but when she steps out the powder room, the evil stepmother went upstairs. A lack of manners. I'm gonna say this now for the record, I don't like Julia, and frankly, no pun intended, I don't blame Kirsty for not wanting to stay over her dad's. I wouldn't want to be around this woman either. Julia enters the attic where we see the windows are covered up with pages and more dialogue from her flashback startup. Frank's being a whorish homewrecker, running his finger over the lip of his soon-to-be sister-in-law, asking, can I kiss the bride? Oh my God, and then he puts it in her mouth. You do not know where his hands have been. We don't do that over here. I am too much of a germaphobe. I bet she just tasted sawdust, door handle germs, ball sweat, all of it. Hold on. This girl is up in this attic like, sis is having flashbacks. Woo! Frank laid it down. Woo. Before Frank took her to Pound Town, Julia asks, what about Larry? And this psycho flicks out a switchblade, ordering her to forget about him. Then cuts the strap of her bra. She got that 20% off at Victoria's Secret, and you just cut the strap. So you gonna buy her a new one? Ain't nothing hot. Ain't nothing cute about that. This entire situation is so messed up because she's got her bridal dress laid out on the bed. They're getting freaky over top of it. The score keeps rising and getting more dramatic as Julia starts heavy breathing, and we're doing this cutback between Larry grunting on the staircase with the movers trying to get this mattress upstairs, mixed with the grunts of Frank as he pounds Julia on another mattress. We briefly see a nail sticking out by the staircase, and as these three men push this mattress up, it stabs Larry's hand. Now in this flashback, Julia's rubbing Frank's leg, who's whispering to himself,
It's never enough.
a sex addict, what's new? Julie is now sobbing, remembering how she ran behind Frank, who's trying to leave, and she's like, I'll do anything you want. Anything.
Wait a minute, did you say anything? Anything. Anything. Yes, anything. 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 Anything.
I would rather slam my tongue in a car door. I would rather shoot my own foot, literally, than tell anybody on this earth, I'll do anything. Please. Larry comes in the attic with this blood dripping all over the floor, telling the audience how, oh my god, I get so queasy with blood, saying he's gonna faint, but his wifey tells him to suck it up. You'll be fine. You just need some stitches. Look at his blood just pouring down on the floor, and y'all not. Why didn't he get a towel? Why is she not getting a towel? Wait, what the f? The couple leave and we see this shot going under the floorboards where Larry's blood is absorbed by this beating heart. I don't know what that is. Downstairs, Kirsty's asking what happened and Julia tells her to drive Daddy out to get stitches. Oh my god, look at the floorboards in the attic. They just start creaking and shaking, even bubbling, until these two antennas poke out with this alien-like bug rising up. Pieces of a brain start forming together as the spine snaps into it.
What the f? Stop playing. What the f? Stop playing. What the f is that?
That night at the dinner, the Cottons have some guests over. Larry's telling the table about his stitches and the lousy beer drinking movers, all while Kirsty's throwing glances with this boy named Steve. He pours her more brown liquor. And although she tells him to stop, he keeps going.
Okay, stop. I'm not gonna be able to stand up.
So lie down.
Larry and Julia catch this, and I think Juju wants to go play with her kitty Meow Meow and think about Frank again, so she excuses herself. And when heading upstairs, she hears a noise from the attic. Hey, look, everybody in the house would have heard me scream. I don't care. Frank meets his old friend with benefits again, informing that Larry's blood brought him back. Back from where? He doesn't tell her and instead just hollers, "Please, God, help me!" So what does Frankie need from Julia? What does this have to do with Julia? Well, the blood got him this far, right? So he needs more. More victims, sacrifices, and she has to bring them to him. She has to heal him. Kirsty and Steve go for a walk, passing this homeless man who's staring right through my girl's soul. The romance between these two, why is it here? There's no reason for it. All Steve's pretty much doing here is asking why she doesn't want to stay home, and Kirsty's like, I don't like my stepmother, wah wah, she's frigid and uptight. She also calls Steve uptight and frigid, and he's like, no, I'm not. And then they kiss in front of this dirty brick wall in the hall of a train. I'm bored. That night, Julia contemplates in bed while Larry talks in his sleep before opening the door to the attic and telling Frank she will comply.
Come to Daddy.
Get the f off of me!
We see a slow motion visual of Kirsty entering the dining room where on the table lies a body with blood soaking through a sheet. And a baby is crying. What, guys, what's going on? The sheet gets bloodier by the second, and when she yanks it off, it's a deformed Larry. Steve jolts awake, seeing Kirsty shaking in her sleep, so he pulls her out of her dream. Wait, so he stayed over? Wait, so they're roommates? And then he slept on the floor. Kirsty immediately calls Daddy to check up and make sure he's okay. And in the attic, we get this very scary but cool shot of Frank listening through the floor. Matter of fact, he went all the way out into the hallway on the third staircase to listen, and he hears the name Kirsty. Julia hits the town for a first victim with her suit ensemble, sipping vodka with her cigarette at this bar, and a man approaches her. When she takes him home, he's kissing all up on her, and he's like, I feel like I've known you for years. Ooh, yikes. I've heard that one before. Look at her trying so hard not to get grossed out. But if you're gonna play the game, baby, you gotta stay in character. She flinches once more when this dude tries to kiss her again, and he starts getting menacing and aggressive.
You're gonna change your mind, are you? I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay.
And see, my sympathy for what's about to happen to this guy just went right out the window. That tells you that line and how he switched up, that tells you everything about him right there. Julia directs him upstairs in the attic, and of course he's pointing out that this isn't the bedroom, but Julia points out that she's a nasty girl. Cause tonight I'm living in a fantasy, my own little nasty world. Tonight, don't you wanna call me? Do you think I'm a nasty girl? Spotify needs to stop playing. Why is that song not on Spotify? That's what I want to know. Julia closes the door, discreetly locking it, and tells homeboy to strip and whip it out. Baby is trying so hard to keep her composure, and Frank is watching in that corner now, waiting for the perfect time to jump out. But wait, something's wrong. Our first victim has had too much alcohol at the bar and needs to empty the old bladder. So he turns for the door, but remember it's locked. So Julia runs into the shadows, picking up a hammer and whacks him 3 times. I'm just now realizing she has this burnt orange eyeshadow. Okay, mama. Even better with the big star earrings. Like this is kind of camp. I kind of love it. Frank is like, don't look at me. So she exits while Frankie crawls to the victim's body and gets to work. In the bathroom, Julia is trying to calm her nerves, and upon returning, the victim's body is hollowed out, giving Frank enough strength to stand up. Can I just say, Bob Keane was the special effects design. Hats, if I had a hat on, hats off. He did the damn thing. All the rips, the exposed tissue, how it glistens and shines. It's slimy, it's nasty, so good. And a little fun fact, the crew on this project had said that the backbone of special effects was lube and condoms, which, given the extremely erotic nature of this film, is quite damn fitting. They actively sought out condoms because they were made out of latex. And as far as lube, that was good at making things look wet and stay wet under the camera lights. Imagine making a run to a quick shop because you run out and the cashier thinks that you're just having a big ass orgy. Frank's telling Julia that this is what needs to be done so he can become whole again. Telling his princess, come here so I can touch you. I want to feel you. Julia starts shaking her head. Hey, look, I don't blame her. Yeah, I don't think so. He starts feeling her breast, but no action for Freaky Frank because Larry's home. Julia carries the victim's body to another room on the 3rd floor and quietly rushes to the 2nd floor bathroom. After Larry knocks, asking what's going on, she chops her silence up to feeling sick, requesting a brandy. When Julia goes back into the attic, Frank tells her he's hurting, which means his nerves are starting to work again. So it looks like he'll need 1 more body. Maybe 2. Maybe 3. But Julia's shaking her head. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm through. I'm done with this. I'm through with this. Daddy must be healed completely, my love. So the 2 of them can run away before they start to follow. Who is they? Nephew. This is where we first hear the word Cenobite. Frank says it's only a matter of time before they find out that he slipped them. Frank also makes Julia promise to him that she's not going to bail out and leave him, because they gotta be together, just like the way they were before. We belong to each other. What the hell did he say? He was like, we belong to each other now. Right.
For better, for worse, like love, only real.
Baby, he is using you. She puts his slimy finger around her mouth. I told y'all this girl is nasty. Kirsty mentions that she got a new job in the first scene that we met her in, and it's inside this animal shop, and she's quite stressed out because this customer at the desk is complaining. There's this monkey screaming. It's very chaotic. A little kid is flicking his finger on the glass of a snake tank, and Kirsty screams at him to cut it out before she take her belt off. Oh yeah, and that homeless man from earlier is also in the shop too, by the way. He's got his hand inside a cricket tank, munching on them right in front of her, and she screams at him to leave, tracking behind him. Steve comes out the cut, giving her a fright because he wants to know what Mommy's doing after work. Julia brings in yet another victim who is Slim Shady in a suit, asking if they're going to be interrupted because he likes to be careful. Funny ass smash cut with Julia striking him with the hammer as soon as he says, I like to be careful. Look at her evil ass smirking and relishing in this while Frank's upstairs enjoying his supper. You going to hell, girl. Now after this snack, not only are Frank's nerves working, homies, but his taste buds are returning. He's taking a drag of a ciggy, saying that he hasn't tasted anything in a long time. And Julia tries to dig for an explanation and pulls out the puzzle box from the opening of the film. When she tries to grab it, he's like, don't do that. It's dangerous. It opens doors. Doors to the pleasures of heaven or hell, and he didn't care which. You see, the Cenobites gave him an experience beyond limits, pain and pleasure indivisible. We see a closer look at these different figures. The only woman of the group is titled as female Cenobite, which kind of pisses me off because we didn't even try to separate her, make her her own thing, yet everybody else got a name. Right. During filming, the crew had jokingly named her Deep Throat because of, her throat is a vagina. But they felt that Deep Throat was overtly sexual, so they just stuck to female Cenobite. The one with its teeth chattering is Chatterer. Then there's Butterball, and the HCIC, head Cenobite in charge, is Pinhead. In the earliest drafts of the script, this character was called Priest and became a lead Cenobite in the shooting script. Now, Pinhead originated as only a nickname for this character, and I guess it just stuck, being used in the sequels. And Clive Barker has openly said how much he dislikes this name because he finds it undignified. Julia stares at this box and she starts seeing all the visuals of things that happened to Frank, and she starts crying and tearing up, but he tells mommy that they not gonna find me, okay? And I want y'all to know right here, right now, Julia is going to stand by her man. That night, Larry and Julia are watching boxing, and he looks over at Ju, bringing up how he thought all this violence made her sick.
I've seen worse.
Frank's pacing upstairs in the attic, banging on the wall, so Julia lies that she left a window open upstairs. And we get this entire back and forth between the married couple because Larry wants to go see it for himself. She even tries to make out with him, but it doesn't work. Larry enters the attic, but Frank's nowhere to be seen, so they go to the bedroom. Uh-oh. Larry starts kissing up on his wife, initiating adult time, just as Frank steps out the closet with a dead rat in his hand. By the way, through the entire film, every scene that we have seen up until this point, well, pretty much every scene in the attic, there is always some sort of shot of rats, and I've been tiptoeing around it because I don't like to think about rats. Are fucking disgusting. I'm so sorry. And this is not coming from a place of fear. I'm not scared of them. I am repulsed by them. I just oh my God, it just fucks my appetite up. But yeah, Frank starts slowly approaching the bed, and he's still got that switchblade that he cut her Victoria's Secret bra with, and he uses the blade to slice the skin off of the rat, and he's just holding it out, and Julia's hollering, "Please, no, I can't stand it." So Frankie backs off, and Larry, he sits up confused, flabbergasted, because 1 second you're all over me, and you're begging for this pink penis, and now, Larry has dinner with Kirsty in a Japanese restaurant where he's saying maybe they shouldn't have moved out here. I live for Kirsty. She's like, "Look, Dad, you love her. So, that means there must be something worth loving." Why is this me trying to be positive? Julia doesn't want to leave the house anymore, and Larry says it feels like she's waiting for something. So he asks Kirsty if she could stop by every now and then to try to make friends with her and keep her company. No. Back at the crib, Frank's telling Julia that she can't love Larry, and she indeed confirms that she doesn't. So why can't the next victim be Larry then? You tell me that, and if not him, then you need to go out, you need to find me another victim, because the Cenobites are gonna come looking for me, and they're gonna tear my booty hole open. Julia collects yet another victim, but Kirsty sees in 4K that she's brought somebody home. Slut! Filthy, slimy slut. The newest victim sees Frank's slimy, bloody body yelling, "Jesus H. Christ!" And Kirsty can hear screams from the outside, right as we see the guy grab Julia as a shield. But Frank rips her off and has his snack anyway. Kirsty successfully breaks inside the house, accidentally stepping on a creek, so Julia runs to another room. Come on, Kirsty, looking like Beyonce when she was walking up the stairs and obsessed, about to give Allie Larder a beatdown. When Kirsty gets to the 3rd floor, the latest victim is not dead. This dude is coming out squealing, "Help me," his flesh is all just up face. And then Frank comes out, strangling him on the ground. Of course, Kirsty is freaking out, and this creep says, "Baby, it's Frank. It's Uncle Frank.
Come to Daddy."
Get the f off of me!
Why would you trap yourself in this damn attic? What she should have did was kneed him in the balls and then tossed him down these stairs. And when he's down, you sprint down and you hop over the bot. That's how you do it. Frank corners her, closing the door, saying how she's grown and she's so beautiful. Oh, let's not do this right now. By the way, this was Ashley Lawrence's first role, and wow, what a camp performance, I must say. She was 22 years old. I kind of love it. It's quite over the top. She's like, "Don't touch me, or so help me, Ow!
Don't touch me, or so help me!
Frank's got her up against the wall, whispering, I bet you make your daddy so proud. Oh my god. She's closing her eyes, telling herself this isn't happening. And Frank's like, yeah, that's what I used to say as well. I used to try and pretend I was dreaming all the pain. And what the f that got to do with me, nigga? You went out the way to mess with that box, and you got what was coming to you. Baldy. Things have to be endured, and that's what makes the pleasure so sweet. Kirsty then sticks her hand in his stomach and he falls to the floor, but my girl ain't quick enough. Because when she tries to run for the dough, he stands up. She's smacking him, gets him back on the ground, and grabs the box. So of course Frank's screaming, be careful, give me that box.
You want it? F***ing have it!
Kirsty Winehouse does not indeed give Frank that box, but instead throws it out the window like a quarterback, dipping out the room, while Frankie Grande's screaming, and Kirsty books downstairs, grabbing the box out front, and jogs into town.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Echoes of Frank are saying Kirsty's name, repeating, come to daddy. Then we get this dumbass slow motion. I'm sorry, it's corny. And the diva falls to the ground as a group of civilians ask if she's okay. Hair sweating out, skin sweating out, eyes sunken, blood on my t-shirt, and you asking if I'm okay? A visual of a red flower unfolding fades in as we see Kirsty in the hospital. A nurse is in the room with her watching that visual of the flower unfold on a telly, but leaps up when she realizes the patient is awake. Kirsty's asking, how did I get here? What's going on? I want to call my dad. But the nurse is actively ignoring her, running to fetch the doctor. This physician orders Kirsty to get back in bed, pulling out the puzzle box, saying that she had a gorilla grip on it and wouldn't let it go. My girl said, I don't remember why I had the box. I don't know nothing.
I don't know nothing.
So the doctor says the police want to talk to her. First of all, y'all better give me some answers. What am I doing here? Where's my damn clothes? Give me a telephone so I can call my father. Kirsty, you better start grabbing collars. You better start grabbing, look for a scalpel, look for a weapon. You better tell y'all, hey, look, no. I'm telling you right now. Y'all niggas better get fucking security in this bitch. I'm gonna shut this motherfucker down. The doctor says until 12 arrives, maybe this box can jog her memory. And right after they leave, she immediately gets up trying the door, but it's locked. Well, are you guys thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking the only way out is in. These pink sparks emulate from the box that make her smile, and a piece of it comes up. She continues playing around with it, trying to solve it, and those famous lasers come out, turning on its own, and it solves itself. But I thought you had to solve it yourself. Why is this box solving itself automatically? I don't like that. The middle of the hospital room rips open and a hallway appears. Hey yo, the way they went from showing this obvious drawing of a hallway that's an optical illusion versus the real hallway they built as a set is hilarious. Kirsty makes her way down this mysterious hall in her hospital Met Gala look and faces this big insect creature, not the reptile eyes, it's a politician. This creature starts chasing her down the hall all the way back into the hospital room, but then the wall goes back to normal. She grabs the puzzle box, smacking it, and energy shoots out as the brick walls begin lighting up, smoke starts emulating, the IV is filling with blood, and Kirsty runs to the door, banging for them to let her out. No, that's right. The IV explodes on the wall, a lamp shatters, wind is blowing, and Chatterer is the first to show up, sticking his fingers in her mouth. The rest of the kinky gang appear as Pinhead says,
The box. You opened it. We came.
and Kirsty starts screaming, it's just a puzzle box! When she asks who they are, Pinhead says explorers in the further regions of experience.
Demons to some, angels to others.
Poor baby's crying, saying it was a mistake and she didn't mean to open it. But that crying immediately turns into anger because she starts telling him to go to hell. But you solved the box, so you must come with them to taste their pleasures. So many great lines in this scene. While Kirsty is crying and breaking down, Pinhead is like,
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Kirsty brings up Frank Cotton, aka the one who got away, and the female Cenobite moans,
Oh, yes.
Although Pinhead believes nobody escapes them, Kirsty's trying to explain that she saw him alive and can lead the Cenobites to Frank so they can take him back instead of her. Penny wants to hear Frank himself confess this. And then maybe they can take her up on that deal. But if Kirsty cheats them, everybody say this famous line with me.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Julie is stressing with her cigarette because Kirsty's gonna tell the Cenobites everything. Too late. And Frank says that she'll want to warn Larry first. Speaking of, the real daddy comes home and Julia says she wants to show him something. Back at the hospital, Kirsty's no longer in the room and Steve's bummed out in confusion. Now, when we cut back to the house, Frank has now completed his transformation, taking on the skin of his brother, making rough love to Julia. Then Kirsty arrives at the crib, banging on the door, hollering, "Daddy, it's me! Let me in!" But Julia answers the door. She's like, "Trey, get out of my face. Where's my father?" Running into Frank's arms, crying that she was afraid something had happened to him and they need to talk. Kirsty, I know you are not ignoring. Why are we ignoring all this blood on this man? She's crying that his brother's upstairs and plotting to kill Larry. Again, too late. Frank and Julia smirk at one another, saying everything's finished with now because he's gone.
What does gone mean?
They tell Kirsty that Frank was put out of his misery, but our final girl needs to see it with her own eyes. So they take her all the way to the attic, open the door, and on the floor we can see bloody bones laid out, which is actually Larry. Julia leaves the room, letting the door shut, and it's now locked? Question mark? The Cenobites have summoned, and Pinhead points at Larry's bones, demanding for the man who did this. So now Sis is shaking her head because that wasn't the deal. You know, he's my father, and you can't have him. She dips out of the room that I guess is now unlocked. What the hell, sure. Anyways, look at this. I live for this performance, I do. Kirsty has to repeat herself multiple times, telling this trick to move and tries to push past her, but Julia puts her in a headlock until she gets free. Kirsty's telling her fake daddy, "We need to get away." And Frank's calmly stating, "No, we can stay here. We can all be happy again.
Come to daddy."
This pig puts his hand on her face, and in retaliation, she ends up clawing the flesh off of his face. It breaks so easily, and you know, god damn it, Kirsty. 1 second you got me, I'm on your side, and then you just go ahead and do shit like this. The girl tries to run back up the stairs where Julia is, but she gets snatched up yet again, and Frank pulls out his switchblade. But Kirsty yeets out the way at the last second, and Frank stabs Julia. Yo, Julia is screaming, "Not me!
Not me!"
Then Frank slides his fingers inside of Julia.
What?
Okay, not like that. He's draining her life force, whispering to his puppet, "It's nothing personal, baby." Oh Lord, look at Julia. Toe up. He just got XP points from that, I know it. Frank's on his way upstairs, jingling, come out, wherever you are," as Kirsty hides in the first room on the 3rd floor. She crawls on the floor, maneuvering her body through all the furniture as Frank enters. Although she pisses me off, this is why I like her. You know, no matter how sporadic Kirsty can get, one thing she's not gonna do is scream. Well, what I'm referring to is how moments before she also did not scream when a statue of Jesus poked out the cabinet. I like how you get down, Kirsty. You a survivor, girl. But then she's got to mess it up by going out into the 3rd floor hallway to stand there whimpering. The attic door starts creeping open and Frank sneaks up behind her, flicking his switchblade out. So she runs back into the attic and we are back at square one, friends. Frank's blocking the door. Kirsty trips over her father's bones, calling Frank a bastard. And yeah, this is where Buddy messed up because he's like, "It's all right. Frank's here. Uncle Frank is here." Yikes. Damn, I mean, Kirsty ain't even have to do any work. My favorite shot in the film is this visual of Pinhead summoning out of the shadows with the lights blasting through. So well done. Chains come flying out and Frank's having PTSD, y'all. Trying to leave, but Chatterer pushes him back. Pinhead greets his old friend and tells Kirsty, "This isn't for your eyes, child."
Set me up, bitch.
You are absolutely right.
Before Frank can take out our final girl, a chain hooks around the flesh on his hand, yanking him back, catching the other one. And now all these chains have a hold on his face, stretching it out. It's so graphic. This is another great line. Frank licks his teeth and he says, "Jesus wept," right as Kirsty swings open the door to leave and his body explodes. The female Cenobite teleports on the steps asking,
You're not leaving us so soon, are you?
"Girl, I gave y'all y'all frank, okay? That was the deal. What y'all want from me? I would have drop kicked that hoe down them stairs. You better get out of my face, Caillou. Kirsty starts running in different rooms to hide, and in the master bedroom, she finds Julia laid out with these hooks that have completely ripped the skin off of her face. My God! But in Julia's hands, she's got the box. So Kirsty rushes to get it loose and tries to close it. Man, when I saw this next angle, I got so excited because this is one of my favorite comedic moments. It also is yet another great shot. Pinhead rises up behind her, ominously saying,
We have such sights to show you.
"Oh shit." But she circles her finger around the middle of the box and those sparks come out. Pinhead's telling her not to do that and she screams, "Go to hell!" Closing the box, which makes Mr. Needledick vanish. The female Cenobites headed towards her and Kirsty holds the box up to her, pushing it back down. So now she's using the box as a weapon when the box originally was the one. And then yeah, Steve's banging on the front door. By the way, the entire house is starting to fall down and both of them almost get knocked out. But then this sheer curtain rises off a Chatterer like a bride veil as he snatches Kirsty and she's swinging with this box and successfully zaps him away. She smiles gleefully upon noticing Steve, but that big back butterball is about to stab her boo. Well, that is until parts of the ceiling fall over top of him. Steve tries to open the front door, but it's locked. All of a sudden, this death box has this triangle pop out of it and turn on its own. Kirsty saying, "Oh no, oh God, no." But when Steve gets the front door open, baby, nobody's there. Kirsty drops the box and Steve grabs a glass bottle, smashing the creature on its face. The alien knocks him down. Kirsty's screaming at the top of her lungs, battling with this alien over this fucking box. And when she finally gets a hold of it, Steve tries to take it out of her hands. Finally, she zaps the creature back to hell into the night. The couple go outside and Steve gives Kirsty his coat like a gentleman as they walk through these pits of fire, and Kirsty throws the box inside the main one. That homeless man comes walking from the smoke, reaches his hand in the fire, and his whole body ignites as the sounds of flapping begin, and this dude turns into a skinny demon dragon. I don't even know what the hell to call this. But we get the same shot from the beginning, zooming out the box, again at the same table as the beginning, but this time it's another man who's trying to purchase this mysterious gem, and the seller asks, "What is your pleasure, sir?"
It's just a puzzle box!
I own the first 4 Hellraisers. They did a 4-film box set for Arrow Video. Hardly know anything about this franchise other than there's a lot of them. But not only that, the back half were VOD. Ouch. I did watch the newest one though, where they made Pinhead a woman, and I'm gonna keep it G, I did not care for it. None of the characters did it for me. I wasn't scared. The Cenobites looked like airbrushed CGI.
If you don't get that bullshit out of my face, bitch.
So to be more specific, there are 11 films in this franchise. Let me say that again. 11 films in this franchise.
What was the reason? What was the reason? What was the reason?
As much as I adore this genre, my God, right? You know, we have to milk the out of everything. Well, I really should clarify, we are the studios, because y'all are the ones greenlighting all these sequels and making them. I know we love these characters. I know we love these moments, right? But I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Okay, you ready? Not everything needs a sequel. Some stories are meant to be standalones, okay? Some stories are meant to be duologies. Shit, even some are even meant to be a trilogy. I don't mind a trilogy. You know, okay, and then we have, when you get to film 4, that's what I have, 4 films. It's a tetralogy, which is, we're pushing it, and by the time we get to 5 or more, oh, wrap it up. You know, the fan base actively agree that the first 2 are the only real good ones. Again, outside of the remake, the first 2 are the only ones I have seen. I hardly remember the second, but I remember there being more nudity and we saw more into the world of this box and its pleasures. It was very nightmarish, very surreal. And while this franchise is under the term supernatural horror, I feel the majority of this fits a domestic noir. The real monster for much of the runtime is Julia and her willingness to do anything, to kill, to reclaim a lost love. The Cenobites have more structure than this chick when it comes to their violence. It's rigorous and orderly, but Julia is messy. It's just her and her hammer against the world, okay? The things that we will do, the lines that we will cross to get a nut. All of my spiritual souls watching this you're going to slowly nod your head at what I'm about to say next. Sex is one of the highest forms of energy exchange that we have. I've went through it, I'm sure you have, and millions of others will continue to. A hookup phase. Live your life, okay? We do not judge over here. But let me remind you to be very wary of who you share your body with. We live in these things. It is our temple. And I know some of you might want to pull it. Life is short. It's not that serious, blah, blah, blah. But no, it is. It is. The chemicals that burst in our brains that release during intercourse should not be taken for granted. And I say this as someone looking back. Just how you feel somebody's hashtag vibes when they're around you, the same goes for intimacy. You want to be inside of / have somebody be inside of you who has dark energy, someone who goes around riding anything, somebody who goes around sticking their dick in anything, someone with low vibration who lives their life draining from others, somebody who bathes in anger, in disgust, in greed, in envy. You do not want the emotional state or the emotional weight of a partner lingering on you. And I think that women out of everybody understand this the most because of how naturally intuitive they are. You know, they get it. Now for men, oh boy, that includes gay men especially. Not every man, but goddamn it, most, right? Will fuck about anything that walks. And I would hate to get very dark, but if certain activities were not illegal, they would, yeah, they would go around doing it and partaking in it. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Although I threw out the term domestic noir, what I also could have said was domestic horror. The humans are more depraved than the demons here. Evil doesn't only thrive within worlds and spaces beyond ours, but lives inside the homes of humans across the world. When I thought about the title, The Hellbound Heart, I was like, surely we're talking about Julia. No? But the more it dawned on me, baby, this is about Frank. To be hellbound means to be destined for hell or headed towards inevitable destruction. Now, could that also apply to Julia? Debatable. Her actions are solely based on lust and illusion, whereas Frank is hardcore hedonism. The guy said it himself during the flashback after sleeping with Julia.
It's never enough.
That man is driven by an insatiable darkness. He seeks the ultimate thrill, so bad that he willingly opened Pandora's box, all for a forbidden experience. When he explained the puzzle to Julia, he said the box opened doors to the pleasures of heaven or hell, and he didn't care which. Curiosity killed the cat, you know, and this is why I say, you know, I say that I could survive a horror film, because when you do clownery, the clown, what? Yeah, the clown comes back to bite. This film's title was originally supposed to be named right after the novella, The Hellbound Heart, but the studio complained that it sounded too much like a romance film. So Clive went to the drawing board and he made the working title Sadomasochists from Beyond the Grave. Then the studio complained that that was overtly sexual. Again, back to the drawing board. This time, Clive made it Hellbound. Then the studio complained that that was too negative.
Idiots!
God damn, y'all acting like this man wanted to name the film Pills, Pussy, and Marijuana. Clive then turned around to his production team and he said that there was this very proper 60-year-old woman who suggested the title, What a Woman Will Do for a Good F***.
How could you not say
But it was producer Christopher Figg who was the one to come up with Hellraiser. Mr. Barker did, though, get his wish with Hellbound because that was what the second film was called. The most renowned element of this film is the Cenobites' blurred line between ecstasy and agony. I'm sure at some point in your life somebody has compared both pain and pleasure, which on paper is a head scratch because one we see as harmful and the other is fulfilling. Well, it's been scientifically proven that both pain and pleasure are processed in the same area of the brain. We are not designed to be on one end more than the other, so when the balance gets misconstrued, our brain is going to do everything it can to sit within that neutral state, which is what? Homeostasis. It kind of makes sense why the sensations we feel when we orgasm only last 4 or 5 seconds. We're only human, guys. You know, and some people chase that sensation and try anything. They'll do anything to prolong it, to turn to drugs. It's, oh God, the drug rabbit hole. You know, I just give me something to feel good. The entire topic of sex actually fits so well here because both of those keywords apply. Penetration does not feel good. Well, it depends on who you ask, but naturally it is painful. But then if you hit certain spots and you get a certain rhythm going, it starts to become something that is pleasurable. So when these Cenobites torture all these people, the ripping of the skin, exposed flesh, it's all so gruesome to the point of stimulation. These Cenobites aren't villains, at least in a traditional sense. They're more so explorers of sensation.
Demons to some, angels to others.
This film is about taking addiction to its extremes. This longing to capture a sensation, a feeling, goes lengths where it becomes destructive. Frank Cotton becoming the skinless figure, needing fixes of blood, sacrifices, let's call it what it is, serves as a potent metaphor for the destructive nature of hedonism. Think of him as the personification of addiction, pure appetite, no morality, just want. What did Britney say? Gimme more, gimme. All the lives he needs to build his body back up shows us how much obsession can consume everyone in the addict's orbit. He uses Julia, who's blind, because all she can think about is how he dicked her down over top of her bridal dress, which is crazy. I cannot get over that. What would you do if you walked in and you saw your wife, husband, partner, somebody you were about to get married to, sleeping with your sibling over top of their wedding outfit? Hell is not the true horror, but human desire when left unchecked. Let's talk about Kirsty Cotton for a second, the final girl of the film, who, by the way, Jennifer Tilly auditioned to play. Love her. What makes Kirsty Cotton a little unique from the other girls of the era is that unlike her contemporaries who survived primarily through luck and purity, Kirsty survived through negotiation, initially, because towards the end they actually tried to take her ass away. I remember that. Even though she kept her bargain of the deal, they were trifling for that. I gave y'all my uncle, now y'all trying to take me. What does this got to do with me? What did I do? But my homegirl figured out how to use that box and zapped them back to hell. Quotes around hell, because where they are, it's not actually hell. We learned that in the later films. I'm shocked Kirsty was just a pet store associate. I ain't gonna hold you. She needs to get in the business industry. She negotiated with a demon. Let's put respect on that. It's just a puzzle box. Right around death's corner, fingers in her mouth and all. I'm about to echo myself yet again, but as long as it applies, I'm going to call it out. I don't give a damn. So guess what I'm gonna say about this little side romance plot line. Pookie. Yeah, Steve is a useless character. There is zero reason for him to be in this film. I'm going to say it again. Stop adding love interests who do not add any major significance to the plot. I get that maybe they don't want Kirsty to be alone on all this, but what has Stevie done? Overfilled Kirsty's glass to get her drunk, did a cigarette trick, kissed her, showed up to the hospital late when the girl was already gone, showed up to the crib during the finale as Kirsty tried to escape. She probably would have gotten out that damn house faster, but abruptly stopped because she saw Steve, worrying that he was going to get killed. I don't really love or care for our final girl that much. Again, I've only seen the first two and hardly remember much of her. She's no Sidney Prescott, Laurie Strode, or Ellen Ripley, that's for damn sure. But for this film, she's fine. The real star here, we all know, is Pinhead. Doug Bradley comes from the theater, so naturally he's gonna do a lot of movement on camera, but Clive wanted to give Pinhead an aura of control. So he told Doug, "You have no idea how amazing this looks on camera, but do less." And he had to tell him a few more times because the makeup was so powerful that it didn't need to be sold to the audience. And Doug went on to say that it's quite difficult to hear as an actor because you feel as if you're just standing still and saying words. With the writing of the Hellraiser script being in the height of the Elm Street Friday and Halloween franchise boom, Clive wanted this character to stand out by being portrayed as an articulate and intelligent character. But this initially didn't go well by the producers. Some wanted Pinhead to act more like Freddy Krueger and crack jokes, while others suggested he be a silent character like Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. Damn, man, we can't let these boogeymen be themselves. You know, you're silencing him.
You're silencing me.
The goal was for Pinhead's personality to be more evocative of Christopher Lee's portrayal of Count Dracula. Clive cited a big part of the chill of Dracula was that he's very aware of what he's doing. You feel that penetrating intelligence. And Mr. Barker does not find dumb things terribly scary. He finds intelligence scary. Precisely twisted intelligence. That's why we find Hannibal Lecter scary, is it not? Bro, you would not want to be alone in a room with this man. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. When we talk about the body horror subgenre, Hellraiser is absolutely one of, if not the first to hit my mind. Bob Keene's work here is fabulous. I mean, first off, Clive has some underground short films from the 70s that he exercised his practical effects muscle in, but with Hellraiser, he went from doing the effects to designing them and hired Bob to execute it. The stages and visceral depictions of the body, the process of Frank reconstituting himself. It's so gross. The veins, how it gets bloodier as the victims get bigger, the slimy glistening under the lights. I love it. It's incredible. Incredible. The Cenobites are another great design. All distinct, yet tied together with this inspiration of punk fashion and Catholicism. There was a lot of taking from S&M clubs in New York and Amsterdam. Even African fetish subcultures. Like, what the hell? Pinhead was initially going to have a navel piercing, implying that he also had a genital piercing. That alone adds a touch of queerness that is constantly brought up with this franchise and these creatures. Rightfully so. It's baked into both the story and the creator. Clive Barker is an openly gay man, and not only has he discussed how personal experiences have influenced this story, but when writing The Hellbound Heart, he was living in a community where the lettuce, greens, bacon, tomato plus community were marginalized and forced underground. While this film is ostensibly about a mystical puzzle box, it functions as a deep exploration of identity, hidden desires, and the otherness of subcultures. The Cenobites are dripped down in black leather, piercings, and indulge in ritualized pain. BDSM aesthetics. Not framed as evil per se, but jarring to the normal eye. These beings also represent a chosen family. They exist outside the traditional nuclear family structure. Their bodies are transgressive, physical modifications that suggest a rejection of the natural body in favor of a self-defined, albeit painful, identity. Not to mention, in the novella, the lead Cenobite is described with a voice like breath through a flute and has more androgynous qualities. Frank Cotton's quest for a pleasure that the world deems too much or forbidden emulates the historical coding of queer desire as something dangerous or defiant. And lastly, the idea of a hidden world. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself because we're only on the first film, but this would be the Labyrinth, which you can only access if you have the key, and the key would be the puzzle box. Also getting ahead of myself because it's called the Lament Configuration. Ghostface thought I didn't know that one. What's the name of the puzzle box in Hellraiser? Oh shit. The lament configuration. Seriously though, this is a powerful metaphor for finding a subculture that understand your specific desires. There's so much more going on than just some gothic demon summoning when you solve this box if you think about it. And you can't have a film with the word hell in it without any religious imagery and ritualism. The lament configuration is a mechanical prayer to the Cenobites' priest-like vestments. This hell has a sense of sacredness, traditional religious morality, think good versus evil, that's swapped with a system of rules and contracts and rituals. What's fantastic about this first Hellraiser is how we have a woman driving the action and violence, a rarity in 80s horror where instead women were shown as the helpless victim than a cold-blooded perpetrator. This house in North London being rotten, isolated, and damp reflects the moral decay of the characters inside of it. And this mystical lament configuration, the box that opens portals to worlds you've never seen, is a metaphor for the human psyche, showing us that once we unlock our deepest, darkest impulses, there's no returning to the safety of the mundane. What are your thoughts on the first Hellraiser? Drop your take down below. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I would love to have you. It would be my pleasure. Hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. And turn on the bell notification if you want to be notified whenever I drop a new video. If you want to see the extended cut of this video, head over to the Patreon and join the family. We're fully uncensored there. You help me pick a film once a month and also get to see my videos first before they hit YouTube. In the meantime, my friends, take care of your mind, take care of your body, take care of your spirit. And don't be opening up no fucking foreign boxes.